My husband punched my pregnant sister in the stomach, and thank God he did. At her baby shower in our backyard in Willow Creek, Oregon, my husband Ethan walked up to my 8-month pregnant sister Lila and punched her full force in the stomach. She doubled over, crashing backward into the gift table as 50 guests screamed in horror. I shoved Ethan backward, screaming, "What is wrong with you?" My mom, Diane, called 911, sobbing about an assault on a pregnant woman. My dad, Roger, and brothers, Nate and Caleb, pinned Ethan against the wall. I pounded his chest, calling him a monster, while Lila lay on the floor, clutching her belly, crying that something was wrong. Her boyfriend, Marcus, checked for blood, and guests started filming as my grandmother, Evelyn, clutched her chest in shock. My aunts grabbed their kids and fled. I dropped beside Lila, trying to feel the baby kick, but she pushed my hands away, gasping, "Don't touch! It hurts too much!" Our neighbor, a midwife named Clara, tried to help, but Lila curled into a ball, screaming not to touch her stomach. My uncle Tom was on the phone with his lawyer, talking about pressing charges for attempted murder of an unborn child. Lila's mother-in-law fainted and was laid on the couch. Lila kept her arms wrapped tightly around her stomach, sobbing that she felt something wrong inside. "Look at her stomach where I hit her!" Ethan yelled, struggling against the men holding him. I wanted to strangle him until I saw a deep dent in Lila's belly that wasn't popping back out. "That's memory foam under her dress, not a baby, and I can prove everything she's been doing," Ethan shouted. I reached Lila before she could stop me, feeling the dent. My hands went numb, pressing against foam edges and Velcro straps where my nephew should have been. She's been buying fake bellies online to fake the pregnancy, stealing ultrasound photos from forms, photoshopping her name on them, and scamming everyone for $30,000 in fake medical bills, Ethan said. I checked with every OB in Willow Creek. She never went to any appointments. I pressed the dented foam as Lila tried to push me away. Guests grabbed at her stomach, finding more straps and padding. "I followed her yesterday after she claimed she had an OB visit," Ethan continued. "She went to a bar in downtown Willow Creek, drank for 2 hours, then bought 3 more fake bellies at a costume shop." Lila screamed at him to shut up, tears streaming down her face, as my grandmother looked like she might collapse. Ethan showed us Lila's laptop, left at our house, with search history full of realistic pregnancy bellies, how to fake morning sickness, and what to say at a baby shower. "But here's why I had to stop this today," Ethan said, sweating as he fought Nate's grip. "I saw her at Willow Creek General last week, following a teenage patient in the maternity ward. Security footage shows she's been attending the teen pregnancy support group, pretending to be pregnant, for 2 months. Our mother sobbed as Ethan showed screenshots of Lila trailing a young pregnant girl, Sophie Miller, who was always alone sitting next to her in the hospital cafeteria, walking her to her car. Lila befriended this girl, who has no family, found out she's being induced tomorrow at 6 a.m., and yesterday bought a car seat, nurse scrubs, and checked the hospital's shift schedules for the nurse's changeover. Lila had told everyone she was delivering at a non-existent birthing center in nearby Pineview, planning to vanish tonight and return tomorrow with a stolen newborn she'd claim as hers. She'd practiced forging birth certificates, bought a breast pump and formula, and was taking hormones to induce lactation. My mom ripped up Lila's dress, exposing the prosthetic contraption strapped around her waist. Everyone screamed. Marcus backed away as Lila looked for exits like a cornered animal. My cousin Jenna called the police, describing the fraud and planned kidnapping, while my aunts tallied the money they'd given Lila for fake medical expenses. "You ruined everything!" Lila snarled at Ethan, ripping off the fake belly and throwing it at his feet. "That teenager's a drug addict who doesn't deserve a baby. I would have given it a perfect life." She lunged for the door, but Dad and my brothers blocked her, forming a wall. In 30 years of knowing her, I'd never seen Lila's face twist like that, like a mask falling off. She broke free from Dad's grip and lunged at Ethan, nails out like claws. Nate and Caleb caught her midair, pinning her to the living room carpet. She kicked and screamed that we'd ruined her perfect plan as the fake belly lay dented nearby. Ethan kept shouting about the hospital footage. As police sirens grew louder, Jenna had called them 5 minutes ago. Marcus stood frozen by the couch, staring at the foam prosthetic. 2 police cars pulled up, and officers rushed in as Lila tried crawling toward the back exit. Jenna showed them her phone with Ethan's screenshots of the purchases and hospital footage. The officers eyed the fake belly, then Lila, still fighting my brothers. They cuffed her as she screamed that Sophie didn't deserve her baby. She alternated between sobbing about our betrayal and threatening revenge. The officers read her rights, dragging her to the police car as neighbors watched. Evelyn clutched her chest on the couch while my aunts fanned her with napkins. The detective said they needed to contact the hospital about Sophie Miller immediately. Ethan gave them her name, and they called it in, moving Sophie to a secure floor with guards posted. An emergency protection order was signed that night to keep Lila away. The detective said Lila had been watching Sophie for 2 months, per the footage. But then an officer arrested Ethan for assault. We protested that he'd saved a baby, but the officer said, "Assault is assault." Ethan put his hands behind his back as I scrambled for bail money. He spent the night in a holding cell while I called every lawyer in Willow Creek. No one wanted the case until I found one who agreed to meet us in the morning. I didn't sleep, driving to the courthouse at 6 a.m. with $5,000 cash for bail. The lawyer reviewed the evidence and said Ethan had saved Sophie's baby. He thought the charge could be reduced to a misdemeanor, but Ethan would face some punishment. Marcus showed up at our house, devastated, asking how long Lila had been lying. He'd painted a nursery blue and bought a $2,000 crib. I showed him Lila's laptop, with over a year of fake pregnancy research. He vomited in our bathroom when he saw she'd taken hormones to produce milk. Mom called, crying, because Channel 9 had picked up the story. Our last name, Harper, was all over the news, and reporters hounded her. The grocery clerk asked if she was the mother of the baby stealer. Dad took leave from work because colleagues kept whispering. The detective asked me to search Lila's apartment. We found 3 notebooks detailing Sophie's schedule at the hospital, what she ate, which bathroom she used. Photos showed Sophie walking to her car, taken by Lila from across the lot. Receipts for nurse scrubs and a fake hospital ID badge were there too. I found credit card statements in my name. Lila had used my social security number to open 3 cards, maxing them out for $20,000. She'd done the same to Mom for another $20,000. The detective added identity theft charges. 3 days later, Sophie delivered a healthy baby girl at Willow Creek General, with security guards outside her room. Lila Baldwin, a social worker, no relation to Lila Harper, helped Sophie apply for housing and navigate motherhood. Sophie had no family, but Lila Baldwin became her support. The notebooks tracking Sophie's every move were chilling. Lila had planned this like a military operation. Lila was in jail, but her lawyer said she wanted a trial, arguing she was saving the baby from an unfit mother. The prosecutor laid out charges on our kitchen table: attempted kidnapping of a minor's child, fraud, identity theft, stalking. Ethan faced a smaller stack for assault. Our lawyer said pleading guilty to misdemeanor assault was the best outcome. The prosecutor agreed, with punishment up to the judge. Dad landed in the ER with chest pain, a stress-induced heart episode. He stayed overnight, asking nurses how he missed Lila's signs. Mom sat by his bed, crying as machines beeped. Marcus called, asking me to come to their apartment. He'd found 3 more fake bellies in Lila's closet, labeled 6 months, 7 months, and 8 months. Receipts showed she'd bought them over a year, practicing how to wear them. Videos on her phone showed her trying different walks and poses. Notes detailed which clothes hid the straps best. Evelyn hadn't left her room in days. Mom found her staring into space. She'd given Lila $5,000 for prenatal vitamins. The shame of being fooled was crushing her. Our lawyer found Lila had joined 12 pregnancy forums under fake names, stealing ultrasound photos and stories from real mothers, editing them with her information. 2 weeks later, Ethan pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault. The judge, acknowledging the evidence but condemning violence, sentenced him to 6 months of anger management classes and 100 hours of community service. Ethan signed the papers without protest. At Lila's hearing, Sophie appeared with her newborn, sleeping against her chest. Sophie, only 17, thanked me for stopping Lila. Her voice shook, saying she was scared to testify but wanted justice. Lila Baldwin stood by her, helping with motherhood. The psychiatrist's report diagnosed Lila with pseudopsych delusion disorder and antisocial behavior, believing she deserved a baby more than unfit mothers like Sophie. The report sickened me, detailing how Lila justified her plan as noble. Mom and Dad hired a financial advisor. Lila had stolen nearly $50,000 through fraud. They sold assets and dipped into retirement savings to repay family. Dad couldn't face anyone at family dinners, apologizing for raising Lila. A letter from Lila arrived, blaming me for ruining her life, insisting Sophie didn't deserve her baby. I threw it away. Ethan started community service at the Willow Creek Youth Center, teaching kids about anger. He shared our story, explaining how his punch stopped a kidnapping but had consequences. A kid asked if he regretted hitting Lila. Ethan said no for saving the baby, yes for using violence. The kids opened up about their own anger, and Ethan got good at helping them. Sophie called, crying, because a man claiming to be her brother Leo appeared after seeing the news. He'd been gone 4 years due to drugs but was clean for 2, working at a warehouse. He brought diapers and formula until Sophie let him meet his niece. Our family started therapy, processing Lila's betrayal. The therapist said Lila's condition made her an expert at deception. Marcus filed a lawsuit against Lila for emotional distress and fraud. She'd spent $8,000 of his money on baby items and faked mood swings with hormones. At the grand jury, I testified for 3 hours about the foam belly and Lila's admission. They indicted her on all charges in under an hour. Lila Baldwin helped Sophie get housing assistance and job training as a dental assistant. Sophie balanced motherhood and GED classes, with Leo watching the baby. At home, I couldn't stop picturing Ethan's punch. We started couples counseling for trauma. The counselor said my conflicting gratitude and horror were normal. 3 more women reported Lila stalking them during their pregnancies. One said Lila asked odd questions at prenatal visits. Another caught Lila following her after birthing class. A third had screenshots of Lila joining her pregnancy group under a fake name. Uncle Tom filed a civil lawsuit to recover $30,000 Lila stole, collecting receipts and statements. Lila fired her public defender, insisting on representing herself, claiming a conspiracy. The judge ordered another psychiatric evaluation. Mom had a panic attack at the grocery store when someone recognized her from the news. She started anxiety medication, quitting her book club and yoga. Leo took a security job, moving near Sophie to help with the baby. Ethan reached the halfway mark of his community service, connecting with a kid named Jonah, who reminded him of himself. The anger management instructor, a former Marine named Victor, mentored Ethan on de-escalation. The second evaluation confirmed Lila's narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial features, recommending 5 years of therapy. Dad considered early retirement after workplace stares. In Lila's old belongings, I found articles on international adoption and baby trafficking, with notes on forging papers. The prosecutor added premeditation to the charges. Victor worked with Ethan on scenarios to avoid violence. The prosecutor offered Lila a plea. 15 years, parole possible after 7 with treatment. Lila refused, insisting she'd done nothing wrong. She fired her new lawyer, researching kidnapping defenses in the jail library. In family therapy, we uncovered Lila's past lies, like faking cancer 5 years ago, prompting us to shave our heads, or claiming nursing school acceptance while working at a gas station. Ethan finished community service, and the kids threw a party. Jonah wrote a letter about learning to manage anger, which Ethan kept in his wallet. The youth center asked him to volunteer as a basketball coach. The prosecutor warned Lila would paint herself as a hero at trial. Mom and Dad sold their vacation cabin in Pineview to repay family. Evelyn refused repayment, wanting only healing. At the grocery store, I saw Sophie with her baby and Leo comparing formula prices. Sophie said the baby slept through the night, and she was taking GED classes online. Lila had written letters to family, accusing me of jealousy and Ethan of violence. Most were discarded, but Dad's brother questioned if we overreacted. Mom showed him the evidence. Jail call recordings revealed Lila still planned to take Sophie's baby, calling her a worthless addict. Guards found baby drawings in her cell. We moved to a quiet suburb in Meadowbrook, 40 minutes away, to escape reporters. Evelyn gave a video statement showing checks she'd given Lila for fake medical bills, her hands trembling. Sophie brought her 6-month-old to the prosecutor's office. Lila Baldwin praised Sophie's dedication as a mother. At jury selection, Lila looked gaunt in her jumpsuit, disrupting proceedings. She called jurors stupid and interrupted the prosecutor's opening statement, claiming she was saving a baby. The judge threatened contempt. I testified for 6 hours, describing the foam belly and Lila's confession. Sophie testified about Lila's intrusive behavior at the support group, crying as she recounted the fear of losing her baby. Ethan admitted his punch was wrong but necessary, showing the jury Lila's stalking footage. The jury deliberated 3 hours, convicting Lila on all counts. At sentencing, Lila got 18 years, parole possible in 10 with treatment. She laughed, refusing to admit fault. She was moved to a psychiatric facility 3 hours away, where doctors said her disorder would take years to treat. Mom and Dad joined a grandparent support group, and Mom spoke about loving without excusing crimes. They started a fund for young mothers like Sophie. Ethan coached youth sports, teaching kids about emotions. Sophie graduated with her GED, accepted into a social work program. Cade held her baby at the ceremony. We learned I was pregnant with a girl, naming her Grace for Hope. We declined a birth announcement, tired of explaining Lila. 5 years later, our family found a new normal with dinners and game nights. We installed security cameras, and Mom locked doors obsessively. Dad found peace at church, volunteering at the food bank. I taught Grace about boundaries. Lila made slow progress in therapy, admitting she needed help, but not remorse. Sophie earned her social work degree, working at a women's shelter. She and Leo saved for a house, with Lila Baldwin and her husband Ramon as extended family. Our family set new rules: no cash gifts, always verify expenses. Grace, now 3, asked about her sick aunt Lila, and we kept it simple. We learned to spot red flags, stopped excusing bad behavior, and rebuilt trust. Mom joined a support group for parents of disordered adults, and Dad wrote about forgiveness. Our lives weren't perfect, but they were honest, free from Lila's manipulation. Thanks for staying with this journey. Drop a comment if you made it to the end. I love hearing your thoughts.